Today we're counting down the top 10 Texas suburbs most at risk of a housing collapse in 2025. From high-flying communities seeing home sales slow and prices dip to sprawling exurbs, where builder optimism has curdled into excess inventory and canceled deals, these suburbs show troubling early signs. Rising listings, affordability crunches, tax and insurance shocks, and buyers suddenly pulling back. We'll reveal which areas face steep corrections, why some seemingly strong markets made the list, and what buyers and sellers can expect as the market shifts. Which suburb earns the top warning sign, and what separates mild slowdowns from true risk. Let's begin with number 10. In the 10th place, Frisco stands as a symbol of Texas's suburban boom, now showing the first signs of a cool down. Median home prices here peaked near $675,000. But appreciation has slowed to just 3.8% year over year, a steep drop from the double-digit surges that defined the pandemic era. Sellers are accepting less, with homes closing at under 96% of their list price on average. The market's pulse is quieter. Open houses that once drew crowds now sit empty for hours, and days on market are creeping up. But the real shock comes from insurance. Hail claims have soared, pushing premiums up by as much as 40% in some neighborhoods. For many families, the cost to insure a Frisco home now rivals or even exceeds the property tax bill. Despite these pressures, Frisco's strong job base and amenities keep it from deeper risk for now. Recovery depends on lower rates and insurance reform. Buyers should prioritize newer builds with high storm resilience, while sellers need to price for a slower, more cautious market. Number 9. Sugar Land sits at the edge of Houston's sprawl, known for its luxury homes and manicured neighborhoods. But the market here has hit a wall. Median home prices have dropped 6% year over year, a sharper fall than any time since the last oil bust. The pain is most visible at the top. High-end listings now linger for months, with days on market for luxury properties doubling since early 2024. Veteran agents call it the steepest median dip of their careers, worse even than 2008. Buyers have grown cautious as property taxes climb and mortgage rates hover near 7%, pushing monthly payments far beyond what most households can manage. Open houses in gated communities that once drew eager crowds now sit empty as sellers cut prices and offer maintenance credits just to get a foot in the door. For Sugar Land to recover, affordability must improve, either through falling rates or a reset in local tax policy. Buyers should focus on strong school zones and negotiate hard, while sellers must accept that the era of easy luxury sales is over. 8th place. Round Rock and Georgetown reveal the sharpest shift in Austin's post-boom suburbs. 45% of listings here have slashed prices in 2024, making price cuts more common than anywhere else in the metro. The median home price has dropped 7% year over year, while days on market have jumped by 30%, leaving sellers with little choice but to lower expectations. The tech sector, once the area's engine, has cooled, new buyers are scarce, and the pipeline of remote work relocations has dried up. Inventory has surged as builders finished projects aimed at a wave that never arrived, forcing developers to halt mid-construction or offer deep incentives just to move homes. Local agents describe a mood shift. Sellers are quick to cut, buyers are waiting for deeper deals, and open houses often go empty. For recovery, a rebound in tech hiring and lower mortgage rates are essential. Buyers should look for established neighborhoods near major amenities, while sellers must prepare for longer waits and tougher negotiations. Number 7. Pearland sits just south of Houston, where rapid suburban expansion has collided with the limits of local infrastructure. Over the past 2 years, active listings in Pearland have nearly doubled, a surge that reflects not just developer ambition but the aftershocks of the 2021 to 2022 building boom. Builders, betting on endless demand, flooded the market with new homes. Yet absorption has lagged, leaving entire blocks of quick move-in properties still on the market, months after completion. The result is a glut that's visible in every subdivision sign and empty open house. Residents have grown vocal, pressing city officials about gridlocked roads and crowded schools. At recent council meetings, frustration boiled over as locals questioned whether the city's planning kept pace with reality. Traffic jams now stretch for miles during peak hours, and complaints about delayed infrastructure projects have become routine. Pearland's risk isn't just about numbers, it's about the mismatch between policy and demand. Unlike suburbs where momentum alone drives the downturn, Pearland's oversupply is policy-driven, amplifying price pressure and slowing sales velocity. For stabilization, Pearland needs a pause in new permits and accelerated investment in roads and schools. Buyers should scrutinize HOA terms and neighborhood amenities, while sellers must price aggressively and prepare for longer listing times. Without a tighter grip on growth, Pearland's housing imbalance will linger well into 2026. Number 6. The Woodlands and Conroe, north of Houston, face a housing market stress test few anticipated. Inventory here has surged by more than 70% since last year, a jump not seen since the last downturn. Homes that once sold in a week now linger for 45 days or more, and agents report that nearly half of listings have slashed prices at least once. But it's not just the oversupply that's rattling nerves. Flood insurance premiums have doubled for many homeowners since the rollout of new national risk ratings. A policy that cost $900 a year in 2023 can now run $1,800 or more, especially near Panther Creek or the San Jacinto Basin. Local insurance brokers describe a flood of calls from owners desperate to cut coverage or shop for cheaper policies, only to find few alternatives. Buyers, especially first-timers, are walking away after seeing revised insurance quotes push monthly payments out of reach. In new Conroe subdivisions, builders have started offering to cover a year of flood insurance just to keep deals alive. The psychological freeze is real. Empty driveways, empty open houses, and sellers caught between rising costs and falling demand. For stabilization, the Woodlands and Conroe need relief on rates and insurance, plus a jolt of job growth. Buyers should focus on higher ground and top-rated schools, while sellers must brace for longer waits and sharper negotiations. Number 5. McKinney stands at a turning point few expected so soon. For the first time since 2012, the suburbs' months of supply has crossed the 6-month threshold, a classic marker that tips the balance from a seller's market to a buyer's advantage. In spring 2024, active listings surged, outpacing closings and leaving entire blocks of new construction sitting unsold. Builders, once flush with waiting lists, now dangle incentives topping $20,000 just to keep deals alive. On the ground, agents describe a scramble. Price cuts are routine. Sellers withdraw listings after repeated reductions, and open houses stretch on with little traffic. The mood has shifted. Buyers sense leverage while sellers race to adjust AOS expectations. Behind the scenes, the affordability squeeze bites harder than ever. Mortgage rates near 7%, and rising property taxes have pushed monthly payments to new highs, shrinking the pool of qualified buyers. McKinney's rapid population growth in the last decade now works against it, as absorption rates lag and unsold inventory piles up. Stabilization will require a slower pace of new construction and continued price moderation. For buyers, patience may bring value. Focus on homes with builder concessions or deep discounts in established neighborhoods. Sellers should prepare for longer hold times and price to compete in a market that has decisively shifted in favor of the buyer. Number 4. Cedar Park and Leander sit northwest of Austin, where the promise of affordable homeownership once drew a wave of first-time buyers. That promise is fading fast. The current median price stands at $429,869, down 2.3% from the previous year, while days on market continue to climb, signaling a market losing its footing. For many families, the math no longer works. Mortgage rates hovering above 6.5% push monthly payments for even entry-level homes well beyond $2,700, a threshold out of reach for the area's median household income. Lenders report an uptick in failed closings as buyers, especially those using FHA or VA loans, fail to qualify or walk away after seeing the true cost. Local realtors describe open houses filled not with eager buyers, but with renters exploring their options, and sellers quietly accepting offers far below what they'd hoped. The affordability crunch is visible in every new subdivision, where builder incentives and rate buy-downs have become the norm just to keep contracts alive. Unlike suburbs where oversupply is the main threat, Cedar Park and Leander's risk comes from a shrinking pool of qualified buyers, families squeezed by stagnant wages and rising costs. For recovery, the area needs stronger wage growth and relief on interest rates. Buyers should prioritize homes in top school zones and near commuter routes, while sellers must prepare for longer waits and sharper negotiations as affordability, not just inventory, sets the pace. Coming to the top three, Katy, on Houston's western edge, finds its housing market exposed at a critical fault line, the intersection of rapid new construction and a sudden shock to public funding. In May 2024, voters rejected the Katy ISD school bond, halting planned expansions and upgrades across the district. For a suburb defined by family migration and top-rated schools, the impact was immediate. Agents report buyers with children now hesitate or shift their search to neighboring districts, even when prices are similar. The median home price in Katy has flattened, no longer climbing but refusing to fall fast enough to clear the growing backlog. Builders, meanwhile, keep delivering new homes. Quick move-in inventory piles up with entire blocks of fresh construction sitting unsold for weeks. Days on market have crept past 40, and open houses that once buzzed on weekends now pass in silence. The mood among sellers is anxious. Price reductions are common, but buyers still wait, citing concerns about crowded classrooms and future property tax hikes to cover budget shortfalls. Local headlines echo the frustration. Parents worry about school quality, while city planners scramble to revise growth forecasts. For Katy, the risk is clear. Without renewed investment in schools and infrastructure, the foundation of family demand erodes, leaving oversupply and price stagnation. Buyers should focus on neighborhoods with confirmed school upgrades, while sellers must prepare for longer timelines and sharper negotiations. Recovery depends on rebuilding trust in community services and slowing the pace of speculative construction. In second place, Louisville and Little Elm sit on the far northern edge of Dallas-Fort Worth, where the promise of affordable new homes once drew a steady stream of buyers and investors. That promise is unraveling fast. In the summer of 2025, leaked builder memos revealed a sharp change in strategy. National giants like D.R. Horton and Lennar have paused or renegotiated land option contracts across these exurbs. The language is blunt: risk recalibration, absorption lag, and a clear warning that the old model of perpetual growth no longer holds. On the ground, the impact is immediate. Active listings have more than doubled since late 2023, while median prices are down as much as 12% year over year, outpacing declines seen closer to the urban core. Days on market now stretch past 55, a far cry from the bidding wars of just 2 years ago. Investor activity has collapsed. In 2022, more than 1 in 5 sales in Little Elm went to institutional buyers. By mid-2025, that share has dropped below 7%. Local title offices report a sudden stop in bulk investor purchases, leaving entire blocks of new-build homes without takers. Open houses sit empty, and developers are quietly letting land options expire rather than break ground into a falling market. The long commute to Dallas, once a tolerable trade-off for a new home, now feels like a liability. As hybrid work fades and gas prices climb, for these suburbs, the risk is not just oversupply, but a broken pipeline, builders and investors pulling back at the same time, with no quick fix in sight. Recovery depends on a major drop in mortgage rates and a rebound in regional job growth. Buyers should focus on neighborhoods with proven schools and completed amenities, steering clear of speculative new builds unless prices offer a steep discount. Sellers must prepare for longer waits and aggressive negotiations. Until the fundamentals shift, Louisville and Little Elm remain a cautionary tale of how quickly outer ring optimism can turn into market retreat. And finally, in first place, Hutto, Pflugerville, and Manor stand at the epicenter of Texas's housing correction risk for 2025. Nowhere else in the state does the scale of new construction collide so sharply with buyer retreat. Inventory across these outer Austin exurbs has tripled since early 2024, a surge fueled by an aggressive pipeline of master-planned communities and annexed land. In Hutto, the Limmer Square development alone brings 205 single-family lots, 220 townhomes, and 300 multifamily units into play, while Pflugerville reports over 300 new homes under construction as of May 2025. The numbers are staggering. Active lot inventory exceeds 1,600, with another 700 scheduled for delivery by year's end. But the market's ability to absorb this wave has evaporated. Median home prices have dropped 8 to 10%, erasing years of gains in just 12 months. The fallout is visible in every subdivision. Model homes sit empty. Quick move-in inventory clusters near half-built roads and unfinished parks. Builders, once racing to meet demand from tech sector migration, now scramble to renegotiate option agreements and delay future phases. The buyer pool has shrunk dramatically as mortgage rates hover above 7% and qualifying incomes soar past $120,000 for a typical new home. Financing stress is acute. Local lenders report a spike in failed closings, especially among first-time buyers using FHA or VA loans. One Hutto tech couple, drawn by the promise of a $400,000 new build, watched their mortgage rate jump during construction. Unable to requalify, they walked away, losing a $10,000 deposit and turning to rent, while their builder paused future lots and offered closing cost credits to keep other deals alive. The risk here is not just oversupply, but the real-time unraveling of buyer confidence. Infrastructure, roads, schools, water, lags far behind the delivery of new homes. Open houses attract more curiosity than offers, and sellers adjust expectations downward with every passing week. For stabilization, these suburbs need a sharp drop in rates, a rebound in tech hiring, and major infrastructure investment to catch up with the sprawl. Buyers should scrutinize builder reputations, flood maps, and school boundaries before committing, while sellers must brace for longer holds and deeper price cuts. In Hutto, Pflugerville, and Manor, the market's correction is not a distant threat. It's happening now, in every empty driveway and every canceled contract. From Frisco's early signs of cooling to the dramatic oversupply and price drops in Hutto, Pflugerville, and Manor, this countdown has charted the full spectrum of risk-facing Texas suburbs in 2025. The most shocking entries, like inventory tripling in the Austin exurbs and builder retreats in Louisville, make clear that rapid growth can turn to vulnerability almost overnight. Across all 10 entries, key patterns stand out: surging inventories, rising days on market, affordability strains from high mortgage rates, and sudden policy or infrastructure setbacks. Each suburb qualified for this list not just on softening prices, but on a combination of oversupply, financing stress, and shifting buyer psychology. The real lesson? Even Texas's hottest markets aren't immune. When local fundamentals weaken, No amount of past growth guarantees future stability. For anyone navigating these suburbs, it's a wake-up call. Look beyond the headlines, track the data, and remember that smart housing decisions depend on local realities, not old assumptions.